Remember the lion cub in our previous video who was raised by a deer named Neema after his mother died in a snare? Well, their incredible story didn't end there. What happened on one terrible afternoon would prove that the bond between them ran deeper than anyone ever imagined, and it would shock the entire world. The hyena pack struck at midday, 12 of them, moving brazenly through the sanctuary's eastern sector where the older animals lived in peaceful retirement. They dug under the perimeter fence during the morning shift change, their hungry eyes fixed on easy prey, the elderly, the slow, the vulnerable. And there, separated from the main herd by a faulty gate latch, stood 23-year-old Neema, alone in the bright sunlight, her arthritic legs unable to run like they once could. The lead hyena, a massive female with torn ears and yellow eyes, let out a bone-chilling whoop that brought the others charging forward. Neema tried to flee, but her back legs buckled. She'd survived a snare that killed Jabari's mother, raised a lion cub against all nature's laws, endured a poacher's bullet, and lived longer than any deer in sanctuary history. But now, surrounded by 12 sets of snapping jaws, her time seemed finally up. The hyenas circled closer, their cackling laughter echoing across the compound, saliva dripping from their teeth as they prepared to strike. Then, the earth itself seemed to roar. Jabari exploded from his enclosure 200 meters away, the emergency sensors on Neema's collar triggering an alarm that released his gate automatically. At 14 years old, with graying mane and stiff joints, he shouldn't have been able to move that fast. But a mother was in danger, and her son was coming. His roar shattered the afternoon, so powerful that birds fled from trees half a mile away, and every animal in the sanctuary fell silent. The hyenas turned as one, their confident snarls faltering. They outnumbered him 12-1. They were younger, faster, with reinforced jaws designed to crack bone. Any logical predator would have retreated. But Jabari wasn't defending territory or a kill. He was defending the only mother he'd ever known, the doe who'd nursed him when he had no one, who taught him gentleness before the world taught him to be fierce. He hit the pack like a freight train. The lead hyena went down first, Jabari's jaws closing around her neck in a grip that demanded submission without crushing. She yelped and scrambled away. 2 more charged his flanks, but years of sanctuary enrichment training had kept him sharp. He pivoted, swatting one aside with a paw strike that sent it tumbling, then lunged at the other with a roar so ferocious it emptied its bowels before it ran. But 9 remained, and they were regrouping. Hyenas hunt differently than lions. They're survivors, opportunists, willing to take damage if it means wearing down larger prey. They began darting in and out, nipping at Jabari's hindquarters, trying to hamstring him. He took a bite to his back leg, another to his shoulder. Blood darkened his golden coat. Behind him, Neema struggled to her feet, her brown eyes wide with the same fear she'd shown the day they first met, when she should have run from a lion cub, but chose love instead. Jabari backed up until his body pressed against hers, creating a living wall between her and death. The sanctuary alarm was blaring now, rangers mobilizing across the compound, but the nearest team was still 90 seconds away. 90 seconds might as well be forever. The hyenas sensed their window closing and rushed in as a coordinated unit, 6 from the front, 3 circling behind. Jabari spun and struck, his claws finding flesh, his roar never stopping, a continuous, thunderous warning that shook the air itself. A hyena slipped past him, jaws snapping toward Neema's exposed throat. The old doe did something that no one watching the security footage would ever forget. She reared up on her hind legs, arthritis be damned, and kicked out with both front hooves. The strike caught the hyena square in the skull, stunning it long enough for Jabari to seize it by the scruff and hurl it into 2 others. Mother and son, prey and predator, fighting side by side in broad daylight against impossible odds. Then Thomas arrived with 6 rangers, tranquilizer rifles raised. The darts flew, dropping 3 hyenas instantly. The others scattered, their pack mentality breaking as the odds shifted. Within seconds, the remaining hyenas were fleeing back through their tunnel, leaving 3 unconscious packmates behind. Jabari stood his ground until the last one vanished, his sides heaving, blood streaming from a dozen wounds. Only then did he turn to Neema, pressing his massive head against her neck, rumbling that deep purr she'd first heard when he was 3 days old and desperate for comfort. She was bleeding too, bite marks on her flank, but she was alive. The veterinary team worked through the afternoon and into evening on both of them. Jabari required 47 stitches across 7 different wounds. Neema needed 32. They recovered in adjacent stalls, close enough to see each other, close enough for Jabari to reach his paw under the divider and rest it near her hooves. Elizabeth documented everything, her cameras capturing the moment Neema lowered her head to touch her nose to his bloodied paw. The 3 captured hyenas were relocated to a facility 300 miles away, far from any sanctuary animals. But the investigation revealed something that made international headlines. The hyenas hadn't dug that tunnel themselves. Someone had cut the fence and baited them toward the retirement area with meat, deliberately creating a path to the vulnerable animals. Security footage caught him on camera. A man named Douglas, 52 years old, balding with cold, dead eyes, a former sanctuary employee fired 6 months earlier for animal cruelty. He wanted revenge, wanted to hurt the place that had ruined his reputation. He particularly hated Elizabeth, who'd exposed his abuse and ensured he'd never work with animals again. Police arrested him at his apartment, where they found detailed plans for more attacks. Douglas stood trial for animal endangerment, criminal sabotage, and conspiracy to commit wildlife terrorism. The prosecutor played the security footage of Jabari's desperate defense, of Neema's impossible courage, of 2 beings who shouldn't have loved each other fighting as family in the harsh light of day. The jury deliberated for 37 minutes. Douglas received 18 years in prison, and new legislation passed mandating harsher sentences for anyone who weaponizes animals against other animals. Today, Jabari is 15 years old, moving slower but still visiting Neema every single morning. She's 24 now, impossibly old for a deer, her coat almost entirely gray, her legs requiring special braces to walk. But when her lion son approaches, she still nuzzles his mane the way she did when he was small enough to curl against her belly. The sanctuary installed the most advanced security system in the country. Thomas trains response teams who can reach any enclosure in under 60 seconds. And Elizabeth gives tours, telling visitors about a lion raised by a deer, about bonds that transcend species, about a mother and son who've saved each other more times than either can count. Douglas sits in his cell, and every month he receives a letter from the sanctuary showing photos of Jabari and Neema together, a reminder that the love he tried to destroy only grew stronger. The hyenas were just doing what hyenas do. The real predator wore a human face. And he learned that some families are worth more than bloodlines. They're built on choices, on sacrifice, on showing up when it matters most. If this story proves that love knows no species and justice always finds a way, smash that like button and subscribe for more incredible true animal stories that will restore your faith in the unbreakable bonds that make life worth protecting.